How you all doing, everyone? Very warm welcome to Revolutions in Europe once more. I'm filming late in the middle of the night, so it's going to be a slightly more quiet card pull this time. But what are we dealing with this week? Well, we are dealing with the emergence of Napoleon. And this is where things really start getting fun as we start dealing with one of the biggest personalities to emerge out of the European context of the early part of the 19th century. This week we're looking at Vivid Voltage. We've got 3 packs to open this week. My apologies because I actually did a V-card pull just the other night. I betrayed you guys and went solo. I hope you'll accept my apologies. So, what are we dealing with? Well, as the terror comes to an end, the Directory is the emergent power that takes over. So there's another reshaping of the French Constitution, and yet another political entity comes to the fore. That's where we're starting. What we see is essentially a power vacuum. A lot of the great powers, a lot of the great political powers have been executed or fled and then came back and then were executed. That does create a gap in terms of the power base. And Napoleon is one of those military figures whose career has been on an upward trajectory. By virtue of the rapid scale promotions that we see during the course of the Revolutionary Wars, Napoleon is a major beneficiary and he is in a position of influence. He actually comes back to France in the wake of and an Explode. Okay, that's an underwhelming opening pack, but Explode. Okay, cool. Comes back to France in the wake of what's ultimately a failed invasion of Egypt. He takes Egypt originally, but then local circumstances, British military intervention, and widespread plague wipes out a lot of his men. But despite coming back essentially defeated, Napoleon does come back to assume a position of authority and will eventually lead a coup, and that will lead him to a position where he will become ultimately emperor. And what we're really thinking about is some of the ways in which, Napoleon's cult of personality is developed. We are thinking about the way in which this figure develops a narrative of greatness, some of it based on actual achievements, some of it through association with great historical figures. It's something somewhat of a template, if you like, that we see many of the fascist leaders in 20th century Europe take on. Oh, we got the Charizard card. Okay, I mean, it's not a super, it's a reverse rare. It's a reverse rare. Cool. We haven't had a reverse rare in forever, but that's a great one. Okay, I know it's a minor card, but even so, we will take it. Shaman! Oh, right. Cool. Well, again, these aren't amazing cards, but they're pretty good cards. I'm happy with that. Happy with the Charizard. We haven't had a Charizard pull in this entire series. That was weird. Thought I heard a phone ring. Must just be in my mind. So we're dealing with how Napoleon takes power, and his egotism is remarkable. We'll talk about some of the portraiture, which captures the sort of emergence of Napoleon. And one of the great portraits is of him essentially crowning himself and Josephine as he takes his role of emperor. He does this wonderful slight to the power of the papacy by crowning himself, in a sense. Interestingly, the artist who's responsible for that is David, who we saw at the start of the revolution as a royal painter. There we go, Charmeleon. So we've got the pair. He then goes on to be a revolutionary painter and then goes on to paint for Napoleon as well. So David is one of the great survivors, gets through the terror, gets through the White Terror, and continues to have a remarkably successful painting career. And he will be responsible for some of the great portraits of Napoleon. So we'll be analysing some of the pictures, some of the depictions. Skidoo, we like Skidoo. Do we have something awesome to finish on? No. Terrakian's alright, but he's not awesome. But there we go. I will be content with our reverse rare, sorry, it's so blurry, but it's so dark, so late at night, card. But yeah, that's what we're dealing with this week. The emergence of Napoleon. No Pikachu in these cards, but we'll try again next week and hope for the best. Okay, so I'll be posting this on Monday, so I will see you tomorrow when you see this. All right, have a great Monday. See you soon.